Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and join the Discord. I will have both of those linked down in the description. But today's video, I'm going to be doing another election that is in the future. I did the 2020 battleground map, I did the 2024 battleground map, I did one that could look like what the electoral map is 20 years from now. But now we're going to be looking at something, I guess, a bit more recent. It's the 2022 Senate map. Now, 2022 is a midterm year. It will likely be a wave year depending on which candidate wins the presidency in 2020. I think, as you'll see in this video, it will be a stronger wave year for Democrats if Trump wins than it will be for Republicans if Biden wins. But this is assuming right now we have 36 Democratic incumbents that are not up for re-election and 30 Republican incumbents that are not up for re-election. It's assuming that this is how the 2020 map went. It's assuming that Arizona flipped, Colorado flipped, Alabama flipped, and Maine flipped. So I kind of give a bit of leeway to both sides. Tom Tillis could easily lose here. Susan Collins could easily win Maine. There are other ways. John James could win. Chris Kobach could lose. Steve Daines could lose. There are many other ways that this map could be changed. But I'm assuming that it's a bit fair to both sides. 51 Republicans, 49 Democrats. With the overall map looking like this, we have a lot of Democrat. We see not many split up states either, only Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Wisconsin, Montana, and almost all of those are up again in 2022. This is what the 2022 Senate map looks like. We have more Republican incumbents up than Democratic incumbents up. So most of these are going to be safe states. If we just go through these safe states, Washington will probably be safe, Oregon safe, California safe, as well as Hawaii safe, Illinois, as well as Vermont. I put Angus King and Bernie Sanders in Vermont as Democrats just because they caucus with the Democrats and all like that. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, and those states will all be safe for the Democrats. Even Colorado, actually, I think Colorado will probably be safe. Michael Bennet has actually made a name for himself ever since he ran for president, and he's part of that Gang of Eight. He's quite a high-profile senator, and they say it has turned in blue, and it'll be 2 years later as well. This is actually assuming that Biden wins. So if Biden wins with a 51-49 Republican Senate, it means he probably won't get much done. How that will impact a wave year, I'm not really sure, but those will be the safe seats for the Democrats. And then for Republicans, they'll have Idaho, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, as well as I think Iowa will probably be safe as well. So that puts really, there's not many battleground states. We have 46 Democrats, 45 Republicans here. And then it comes down to these states here. In Arizona, you're assuming that Mark Kelly has won. Unless Doug Ducey, the governor, runs, I can see that staying with the Democratic column. In Nevada, I can also see this staying in the Democratic column. I think the Latino vote will push the Democrat over the top here. Catherine Cortez Masto. Wisconsin, you have a retiring incumbent in Ron Johnson. He's retiring. He's a Republican in the state of Wisconsin. I think that seat could go blue. This is just hypotheticals at this point. Ohio will probably go red. Pennsylvania, New Hampshire could go blue. I'll give that to the Democrat. Pennsylvania, you have Pat Toomey here. This is going to be a big one. In a wave year for Democrats would win the state. In a wave year for Republicans, they'd obviously keep the seat. As well as North Carolina, you have Richard Burr retiring. So Richard Burr is the Republican senator. He was caught up with all that insider trading stuff, but he has said that he's going to stay, and he said that he's also going to retire in 2022. But I will, for now, give that to the Republicans. I'll also give them Georgia, because that'll be the special election, most likely going to be Doug Collins, assuming he wins in 2020. And then in Florida, you have Marco Rubio, who might run. He wasn't going to run in 2016. I don't know whether he'll run in 2020, but this is kind of the consensus of how it may go. In a best-case scenario for Republicans, they win Nevada, they win Arizona, they win Wisconsin, they win Pennsylvania, they could probably win New Hampshire, maybe. You could be generous and give them New Hampshire. You could also, if you're really generous, give them Colorado, although I don't really think that any of this is going to happen. So in a very best case scenario for 2022, you give the Republicans 55 seats, you give the Democrats 45 seats. This would be a net gain of 4 from 2020. This, in a wave year, this might be possible, although I think Colorado's likely going to stay with the Democrats, as well as New Hampshire's likely going to stay with the Democrats, and so will Nevada. So really the only pickup opportunity you see for the Republicans is going to be in the state of Arizona. Arizona, depends on how Mark Kelly would do. I'm assuming he's going to win. Obviously, Mark Thingman still has a chance, but I'm assuming that Mark Kelly is going to win. Depending on how bipartisan he is, depending on if there's any important votes he has to make Supreme Court picks, that could make a difference depending on also how much Arizona has trended. So in a best case scenario, realistically, I'll be generous. I'll give them Nevada and New Hampshire. They could get 54 seats and that gain of 3 to 46. For Democrats, they would win Nevada, keep Nevada, keep Arizona, keep Colorado. They'd win Wisconsin, win New Hampshire, win Pennsylvania, maybe even win North Carolina, and they can maybe even win Florida because if Marco Rubio retires, that makes it an open seat. And if you do have a wave year for Democrats, this might be assuming that Trump does win. If Trump wins in 2020, Democrats are going to be fired up, similar to how they were in 2018 and similar to what Republicans were. In 2010, you saw the Republicans had a huge wave year. In 2014, after the anger of Obama winning in 2012, you saw Republicans also had a big wave year. And so that's probably what you'd see again. You could see a similar pattern of what you saw in the Obama administration. For the first 2 years, Democrats controlled everything. The second 2 years, Republicans took back the House, Democrats kept the Senate. Then in 2012, everything stayed. Senate stayed Democrat, House stayed Republican, presidency stayed Democrat. 2014, you see that the Senate finally flipped, but the House stayed and the presidential race stayed, obviously. So you might see a similar thing here in 2022 if Trump wins. You see the same pattern. Democrats keep the House, flip the Senate in this scenario. They probably, if there was a wave year, you could even stretch it and give them Ohio. And this is assuming that the map is 51 to 49 in favor of the Republicans after 2020. You could even, if you're really generous, if they're going to get the majority, give them North Carolina. And in that scenario, they'd have 54. But really, it's not going to be a huge majority either way. Republicans probably can get a bigger majority than Democrats are going to be able to. And that's something that we're going to have to watch out for. This Senate race in 2020 is going to make the biggest difference. But realistically, again, if we're looking at the realistic scenario, Democrats probably wouldn't flip Florida or North Carolina. Realistically, they can, I think the easiest state that they're going to be able to flip, not necessarily beat an incumbent, but flip, is with Ron Johnson's seat in Wisconsin because it's an open seat. If Florida is an open seat, they are prone to midterm waves. It depends on the candidate. And obviously, you saw in 2018, you had Rick Scott, the pretty popular governor, running against Bill Nelson, the long-term Democratic senator. The Democrat had lost. Rick Scott was the winner in that race, barely, but he was the winner, prone to the wave years Florida is. In the governor race, you had Andrew Gillum, who was pretty left-wing, which could have been to his detriment because he barely lost to Ron DeSantis, who is quite popular now. So Florida is a very interesting state. Obviously, it's always been a very interesting state, but in a realistic scenario, I think that if there's really not much of a wave year, you could see Democrats keep a majority or gain a majority. If Democrats have a 51 to 49 deficit after the 2020 elections with Joe Biden as president, with a Democratic House, they might not get much done, which could be to the detriment of them or could be beneficial to them, because what you saw in 2008 was that Democrats got the Affordable Care Act done, they got the Dodd-Frank bill done, and then they got wiped out in the midterms because there was no turnout. If you see Democratic anger at the Republicans because nothing's gotten done, there could be anger on both sides. There could be anger at the Democrats from the Democrats, there could be anger at the Republicans for the Democrats, there could be anger at the Republicans from the Republicans, there could be anger from all the sides, which can affect this election hugely. And so there's a lot of seats. There's a lot of battleground seats too, because you got Florida. I mean, even Georgia could be competitive. Georgia is going to be the seat with Doug Collins, a 2-year senator at that time, assuming he wins. And this is a trending state. I know a lot of people don't like to admit it, but Georgia is a trending state. And so there's a lot of things that you have to watch out for here. But I'd say at this point, Democrats are probably favored in terms of 2022. There's really not many places they lose realistically other than Arizona. And so if Democrats do get the majority in 2020, I can't really see them losing it in 2022 unless Democrats do something really stupid like they did in 2008. They didn't really use their majority well, and that's how they lost the House big, but they didn't lose the Senate. And so really it depends on a lot of things here, but at this point, I'd say Democrats are favored for 2022, but I'm not going to talk too much about that as of now. Just kind of want to look at the overall state of the race as of now. But yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe as always. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and I will see you guys later.